The day I found out my wife was pregnant was one of the best days of my life. We've been trying for years, and the news felt like a miracle. I loved my job at Sylvania Tech, where I'd worked my way up from an entry-level analyst to head of operations. I was proud of the late nights, hard work, and dedication I'd poured into that company. But I'd never been prouder than the moment I knew I'd be a dad. So, as my wife's due date got closer, I did what I thought any good father would do. I requested paternity leave. Sylvania had always boasted about being family-friendly, so I expected support. But as soon as I mentioned taking 3 months of leave, I could feel the tension in the room with my boss, Jason, a sharp-tongued, fast-talking guy who'd risen through the ranks mostly by talking his way up. 3 months? He scoffed, eyebrows raised as if I'd asked for something ridiculous. Come on, Derek. Let's be realistic. You know we're in the middle of the merger, right? I nodded. I knew the merger was huge. We'd been working on it for nearly a year. But I was also sure that our team could handle things without me for a few months. I know it's not ideal timing. I started trying to keep it professional. But the policy allows for 3 months, and I want to be there for my wife and the baby. I've worked hard here. I don't think it's unreasonable. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. 2 weeks, he said flatly. That's all I can do, Derek. Take it or leave it. For a moment, I couldn't believe it. Was he seriously trying to strong-arm me into shortening my paternity leave? Jason, I replied, trying to keep my tone calm, I need the full 3 months. My family comes first. I could see his jaw clench as he looked away, tapping a pen on his desk. If you walk out for 3 months, don't expect your job to be waiting for you when you come back, he said coldly, not even bothering to sugarcoat it. He didn't give me a chance to respond before turning his attention back to his computer, effectively dismissing me. The next day, I filed the paperwork for 3 months of leave anyway, hoping HR would back me up. I didn't want to get combative. I just wanted what was promised. 3 days after my daughter was born, I was at the hospital, marveling at her tiny hands and feeling that nothing else mattered when I got the email. Due to recent restructuring, your position has been terminated. My heart sank. All the work, all the loyalty, it didn't matter to them. I'd been pushed out for prioritizing my family, exactly what they'd always claimed to value. But I was too exhausted to fight, and I had a newborn daughter to focus on. I chose to let it go, let Sylvania go, and throw myself into being there for my family. Months passed, and I picked up freelance gigs in tech to support us. Life found a new rhythm. My daughter was growing, smiling, and babbling, and for the first time, I didn't feel the constant weight of a corporate grind. I miss my job sometimes, but I knew I'd made the right choice. Until one day, when I was scrolling through LinkedIn, I saw something that made me stop. Sylvania Tech faces massive scandal after merger fallout. Executives under investigation. I clicked on the article, stunned. The scandal was even worse than the headline suggested. Top executives were accused of falsifying revenue reports to boost the company's valuation during the merger. Clients had backed out after discovering the fraud, and stocks were tanking. As I scrolled down, I saw Jason's name. He was accused of orchestrating the whole scheme. The irony wasn't lost on me. Jason, the same guy who had thrown me out for taking paternity leave, was being ousted for dirty, backhanded deals. It felt surreal, but that wasn't the end of it. A week later, I got a call from an unknown number. I didn't recognize the voice, but she introduced herself as Karen, Sylvania's new HR director. Derek, I'm calling on behalf of Sylvania Tech. We'd like to discuss an opportunity for you to come back in a senior role. The company is rebuilding, and we could use someone with your skills. I couldn't help but laugh. Are you serious? I asked, the bitterness slipping into my voice. You fired me for taking paternity leave, and now you want me back because the company's falling apart? Karen tried to smooth it over. Derek, we understand that mistakes were made in the past. The culture here is changing, and we're committed to building a team of ethical leaders. We believe you could play an important role. I said, unconvinced. Let's cut to the chase. Is Jason still there? She hesitated before replying. Jason has transitioned into an advisory role. He won't have any direct authority over you. So, he was still there. Figures. He'd managed to wiggle his way back in, even after everything. I'll think about it, I said, hanging up. But the whole thing left a bad taste in my mouth. 2 days later, they asked me to come in for a meeting. I decided to go, not because I wanted the job, but because I wanted to look Jason in the eye after everything he'd put me through. When I got there, I was surprised to see Jason waiting with Karen in the conference room. He looked the same, slick suit, smug expression. He even had the nerve to give me a smirk as I sat down. "Derek," he said, as if nothing had happened, "good to see you again." I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. I was surprised to get the call. Considering last time we spoke, I was no longer needed. Jason shrugged, all casual, as if firing me hadn't been a big deal. "Yeah, well, that was then. This is now. The company's changed, and we could really use someone like you right now. You know the team, you know the systems, right?" I said, holding back a laugh. "And what exactly would my role be?" Karen jumped in. "We're looking to rebuild the culture here, and we think you'd be a great fit for a VP role overseeing operations. We want to establish a stronger, family-friendly culture, and we're offering a significant salary increase, along with stock options." Jason leaned forward, adding, "You'll have a lot of influence. This is your chance to step up, make a name for yourself." I looked at him, not hiding my disdain. "So, let me get this straight. I was disposable when I wanted time with my newborn. But now that your reputation's tanking, suddenly I'm the guy who can step up and save you." Jason's jaw clenched, but he kept up the charm. "Look, Derek, everyone makes mistakes. But this is business. You can hold a grudge, or you can make the smart move for your career. We're offering you a golden opportunity." The arrogance in his voice set something off in me. I wasn't going to let him rewrite history. "Jason, I didn't leave Sylvania. You pushed me out. I missed critical time with my family because you didn't see value in it. So, if you think I'm going to jump back in to clean up your mess, you're dead wrong." Karen looked uneasy, glancing between us. "We realized the past wasn't handled well. But we want to make this right, Derek. You'd have autonomy, a competitive package, and a clean slate." Jason's expression soured, and he tried one last card. "Derek, let's be real. You've been freelancing for, 6 months? You're not exactly in demand. And Sylvania is offering you a chance to come back. No hard feelings." I felt a wave of anger. Here he was trying to manipulate me again, but I kept my cool. "You really don't get it, do you, Jason? I'm not interested in no hard feelings from someone who only values people when they're useful to him." He scoffed, shaking his head. "Don't act like you're above this, Derek. You think freelancing is some noble pursuit? At the end of the day, you'll be back in some office, answering to someone like me. This is your shot to be back in the game. Don't blow it over some ego trip." I leaned back in my chair, looking him dead in the eyes. "Jason, this isn't an ego trip. This is about self-respect. I didn't blow my shot. I took it by walking out. And I'm not coming back to work under someone who sees fatherhood as a liability." I stood up, leaving both Jason and Karen in stunned silence. I was done being manipulated, done letting people like Jason tell me what mattered. As I walked toward the door, Jason tried to get the last word. "You're making a mistake, Derek. This offer doesn't come around twice." I turned back, giving him a cold smile. "You're right, Jason.